Brian, and good morning, everyone. I'm honored to be with all of you for this historic occasion. On behalf of the National Park Service at the Statue of Liberty National Monument in Ellis Island, I bring you greetings and heartfelt congratulations on your accomplishments. The story of American immigration can be told in many places around the United States, but there are only a few locations where the setting reaches out to make this part of our history real, where immigration becomes useful information that adds meaning to current events, where immigration becomes a set of ideas that add value to community relations and personal interaction, where immigration reminds us of who we are. Ellis Island is one of these special places. The detention barracks here on Angel Island are another. Of course, immigration is not one experience. When we speak of immigration, we are referring to a rich montage involving millions of people at different periods from all around the world. Some of their stories have been told for many years and are well known. Others, such as the ones recorded on the walls of the detention barracks, have not yet been heard by most people. While evidence of individual experiences often our most compelling connection with the past, we must remember to broaden our view, to take in the larger backdrop of the historical forces that have brought immigrants to this country, and the governmental policies that have controlled entry to the United States. Laws such as the Chinese Exclusion Act and the regulations that implement them form the backbone of an immigration system that even today determines who can and who cannot enter this country. Changes to immigration laws are over time a reflection of evolving public attitudes about the makeup of the American workforce, about who should and who should not be granted rights as citizens, about the nature of external threats, and about the character of the immigrants themselves. At times, this nation has been enthusiastically open to immigration. At times, it has been overtly hostile. The history of Ellis Island clearly illustrates these shifts in policy and public opinion. Initially, there weren't very many rules about immigration. It was a state responsibility, and the qualifications for entry varied depending on where you came in. The Immigration Act of 1891 placed tighter controls on immigration by putting it under federal administration. The Ellis Island Immigration Station was opened in 1892 to enforce the federal regulation and processing of immigrants to this country. Between 1892 and 1954, when Ellis Island was closed, over 12 million people were examined and processed there. Not every immigrant who came through New York Harbor was sent to Ellis Island. Most first and second class passengers were given a perfunctory inspection on the steamship, and unless they were ill, were allowed to enter the country. Not so for third or steerage class passengers. They all were transferred by ferry or barge to Ellis Island for medical examination and legal inspection. The same rules applied to all Chinese passengers. No matter what class they traveled in, they all were sent to Ellis Island. In 1927, cinematographer James Wong Howe returned from an overseas business trip with a group from Hollywood. He was not even an immigrant at the time, but because he was Chinese, he was separated from his colleagues and sent to Ellis Island for interrogation. At Ellis Island, enforcement of the Chinese Exclusion Act was initially assigned to a division that handled exclusion and deportation cases for all immigrants. Around 1920, a specific Chinese division was established with Chinese inspectors who actually were Caucasians aided by Chinese interpreters. About 20,000 Chinese people were interrogated at Ellis Island. We have an oral history of a young man who was detained at Ellis for about 3 weeks when he was 16 years old. He remembers Ellis Island as a confined place. There was a guard outside the door at all times. He said, "I was just waiting to get out of there." You look at the Statue of Liberty, you look at the Empire State Building, and you think, tomorrow I'm going to be there. One of the remarkable things about Ellis Island today is that the passage of people through this place is still very real. Visitors can truly imagine how immigrants might have felt arriving at Ellis Island, wondering when and if they would be allowed to enter the country. The nearly 2 million visitors a year who come to Ellis Island are inspired to think about what brought people here, the conditions they were leaving, their dreams for the future, and the challenges that they faced when they got here. Ellis Island has come to represent much more than the passage of people through an immigration station. This island of hope, island of tears, has become a symbol of the broader immigration story across generations and a reminder of the important role immigrants have played in the building of this nation. The National Park Service uses the power of this special place to engage people in dialogue about the cultural richness of the United States and the continuing debate about immigration policy. By opening the detention barracks to the public, you are harnessing the power of Angel Island to focus attention on a little-known but important aspect of our national immigration story. We are proud to join forces with California State Parks to help make this happen. I'm pleased to announce that as of today, Angel Island and Ellis Island are established as sister parks, working together to preserve, protect, and interpret these amazing sites and their stories for all future generations. Thank you.